Hello and welcome to another episode of Profoundly Silly Wisdom, the podcast for people who are ready to start living as their authentic self and let go of following all the shoulds. If you're wondering why I am whispering and leaning towards the camera, it's a little bit late, so I'm not quite my buoyant self. But also I've had a kind of strange day. Now, if you've been following this podcast, you know I like to send a video every couple of weeks, and I've been fairly faithful to that schedule. But today it's been quite a busy week this week, and today I had planned to record the video, but my soul had other plans. It had some things it wanted to share with me. Yesterday I did my first group intuition coaching session with a bunch of great people actually. So we used the tarot, so we tuned in together, asked our souls what they want us to know, picked a couple of cards, actually 3 cards, and then just tuning into our intuition, talking about what we noticed and the message that was coming through. And it was a really great session. But still, at the end of it, when it was over, I sort of managed to feel disappointed in a way, about the session. And so I asked my soul about it. I picked some cards. I tuned in, picked some cards. And the cards I got, so the context card was the 8 of Swords, which is really about swords, all about thinking, beliefs. So really often about limiting beliefs. As you can see, the lady in this picture is surrounded by swords. So basically the thoughts that she is thinking, the beliefs that she has, are sort of keeping her constrained in this situation. And so often that's exactly what happens to us. We feel stuck in life. I mean, you can see she's got a bandage around her eyes and her hands are bandaged, and her orange robe, which speaks of the sacral chakra, our desires, the things that we want to create, she's completely constrained. So she's feeling frustrated in life, essentially, and like she's hemmed in. She doesn't have options. But in reality, if she walks straight ahead of her, there's nothing stopping her from getting out of that situation other than the fact that she's hemmed in by these sword beliefs, these limiting beliefs about, it could be about anything, about who she is and what she's capable of, or what's possible for her, all of these things that we have that hold us in these sort of stuck states. So that was the 8 of Swords. And then I got the 8 of Cups. Now obviously I noticed, 2 8s, that's interesting. And often when I get 2 cards of the same number, it's deliberately saying compare these two, like for like. And in here, so Cups are all about emotions. So this was like the main focus card, if you like, for the reading. And what I felt it was saying is, yes, you've got 8 cups, 8 emotions for all of the 8 swords in the 8 of Swords. And that's just a reminder to me that basically it's our thinking that creates our emotions. So if we're feeling stuck like the lady is and frustrated in the 8 of Swords, then it's actually, it's all coming from our thinking, And so in this card, this card specifically tends to be about the kind of scenario when you've invested in a situation. It could be a relationship, it could be a job, it could be anything, any kind of project or venture. You've invested in it emotionally, but you've kind of got to a place where you realise actually this is never going to live up to expectations. This is never going to be what I hoped it would be. And so it's a card about kind of, I guess, cutting your losses is a good way to summarize it. And as you can see, the figure in this card is like walking away from the cups. So they've basically, the cups represents all of the emotion that they invested into this relationship, or whatever it was, that they hoped would, bring them happiness and fulfillment. But actually now they've realised, this is never going to be what I hoped it would be. And so they're walking away from it. They're leaving it behind. And if you see the arrangement of cups, it's sort of uneven, isn't it? It's not a satisfying arrangement. There's a big gap in the middle. And that's just how it feels, when we leave something behind that we've been invested in. We hoped for a certain outcome and it didn't happen the way we wanted to, or maybe the relationship failed, or is failing, and we sense, I can't really continue to be in this relationship because it's not, it's not authentic. And it's just that feeling of sadness that you get, and disappointment. And in a way, if you look, it's at night time, so he's kind of sneaking off in the night. And quite often when things don't live up to our expectations, we have that sense of failure and shame. We feel, embarrassed. If it's even a relationship, people around us, we worry about what people will think as this relationship comes to an end, aside from the person that we're in a relationship with, or if it's a job situation that, hasn't gone as we hoped. We sometimes worry about other people's feelings, and we have that desire just to get away, but at the same time we're feeling the pain of that loss. So that's the card I got, and I got it in reverse. So I don't feel the message was saying don't do these group coaching sessions. Leave them behind. They're not going to meet your expectations. Often reversed means an internalized kind of energy. And so what I felt it was saying to me was, you've got, actually, it was fitting that it was about a disappointing feeling that I was having, because that's one of the energies of this card. But in reverse position, one of the things it can mean is that, if you like, the cups in the foreground represent emotions, and it's like you're almost trying to walk away from your own emotions. So it's actually about you rather than a situation. You're trying to walk away from your own emotions. And obviously, as we know, you can't ignore your emotions. Well, you can, but as we all know from experience, if you stuff down your emotions, ignore them because they're not very convenient, then they come back to bite you in the butt later. And it's usually, you find that you go round in circles, you keep repeating a pattern, and experiencing the same emotions until you're actually ready to deal with them. And so I feel like what my soul was saying, and this is what happened today effectively, was, okay, this group coaching situation was a trigger for you, because you've obviously got some scratchy emotions going on there. So rather than just walk away from them and just think, oh, well, I'll just carry on, it will get better over time kind of thing, instead of just ignoring it, let's actually take a look at this. We're ready to look at this today, is what I felt my soul was saying. But I was like, yeah, but I've got a video to record. I can't spend the day clearing and dealing with uncomfortable emotions. It never feels convenient, does it? No, it doesn't. But anyway, I know enough now to know that my soul never does things just for the sake of it. So I followed its lead, and actually what I ended up doing was just meditating. I actually lay down. I find there's a rationale for that scientifically. When you lie down, it slows your brain waves down, so they go from the normal waking state into more of an alpha state, and so it actually helps you to access your subconscious, and obviously your intuition more as well. So I spent the day and also I pulled this fellow out, so that's a massive crystal. I got the big guns out today. Usually I just have a little tumble stone. But today I thought, no, that's 8 cups. We're gonna need some we're going to need some, good juju to help us to deal with that. So that's what I've been doing, and through that process, I was able to see where did the disappointment come from, and I realised, this is a channel for people who are, ready to start leaving the shoulds behind, because you realise you've been living your life doing what you were told you should do, and it's not working for you, and you realise you sense there's more to life, and you've probably done a lot of, let's face it, if you're still listening to me, you've probably already done a lot of work on yourself. You've done a lot of spiritual work, personal growth work, and really it's so what it's like to have these old limiting beliefs, and to see them fade. As you've done work on yourself, you realise that it is possible to change your mindset. You don't have to just be a victim of whatever mindset you got by default through your upbringing, and so you've done a lot of that stuff already. But anyone who's been on this journey for a long time, you realise you don't clear things overnight. And if you are a student of spiritual growth, let's say, then, and I'm sure you'll all relate to this, you get to situations and you get triggered and you think, I thought I dealt with that already, because you'd already done a measure of clearing, you're already aware of that trigger, and so I feel like today was just another day for going deeper. And what I realised, through the disappointment sort of came down to two things. And I realised they're both shoulds. So the first thing that I found put a dampener on things, and I feel like I need to preface this, the session was great, and I really enjoyed listening to people's comments and being a facilitator. I mean, it felt like a real honour actually to do that kind of exercise, that kind of fun exercise together, and to see what comes out of it. It's a playful exercise, but really profound insights come out of these things, as they do when you start to open to your intuition, and to listen to the wisdom of your heart. So it was great. So it's absolutely no reflection on what happened. I realised it was something else going on in me. And the two shoulds that I identified today were, this should around business, because I think I've mentioned before, I'm just starting, I'm putting together a business. I've been doing some coaching with people using the tarot to tune into their intuition to help with, creates really some transformational change, because I know that that's, what it's helped me to do. And so I've been part of a business community. And obviously, being part of that community, you get advice, you get roadmaps on what setting up a business might be like, the things that you need to do at different stages. And it's been great. There's a lot of really practical information that I just really needed to know. But what I noticed has happened is that I've also internalized these things, so for example, I got some advice on how to sell coaching sessions, and so when I mentioned that I was doing this group coaching session, I was excited about it. I mentioned it in that sort of state of excitement. Hey, I'm doing my first group coaching session. And then I sort of got the advice from this community to use it to sell a coaching package. And, it was a well-intentioned piece of advice, and it wasn't a bad piece of advice as such, but I think I realise now what I did was internalise that and say, oh, well, I should be selling a coaching package, and, I should be mentioning my coaching services. And so I took on that should, basically. And so that when I got to the end of the session, it was a great session. I didn't feel any alignment to start selling coaching packages. at the end of that. It just didn't feel appropriate to me at that time. And obviously I'm not against sales. I mean, I better not be if I'm running a business. But it just didn't feel right. And so I didn't do it. And good, I listened to my heart. And I believe that's the right thing to do, because that's where our souls guide us. But I guess part of the conditioned me thought, well, you should have done that. You've kind of failed at that task that you were supposed to be doing. And then another should, I realised, was on the spiritual side of things. Because obviously, there are lots of people out there, as, spiritual leaders, sharing their gifts with the world in different ways. And I guess it was a kind of should around, well, you should be, more of an expert. It's like you should be a spiritual guru type of person. And I felt it's a little bit of a conflict, really, because my heart is, my heart says, I'm not here to be a guru. I'm not here to put myself on a pedestal and have people think I'm super spiritual and just be in awe of me. Actually, what I'm here to do is to bring a playfulness to the spiritual arena as well, and to life. Not just to the spiritual arena, but to life. Because I don't know if you've noticed, things have got pretty heavy in recent times. With all of the disruption that we've experienced, there's a lot of seriousness, a lot of stress, a lot of heaviness, a lot of we're shooting all over each other. On social media and everything. Everyone's telling everyone else what they should and shouldn't be doing, and criticising and judging. And I really feel in my heart of hearts what I'm here to bring is kind of some light relief, not just in the form of comedy, in the form of really tuning into your heart and being authentic and following your path with courage. It takes courage, believe me, to put yourself out there and to be you rather than follow all of these shoulds. And so, I feel like I'm here to be a playful facilitator and frankly, sometimes a bit of a clown, if that's what's needed, to kind of shake up all of the seriousness, because, this heaviness is not helping us to connect to our souls. It's actually getting us all into our heads and then getting really stressed. And then we're reacting to each other out of stress, and that just creates more problems. And tunes us away from our own wisdom, So I really believe that's why I've called it profoundly silly wisdom, because it's not just silly for the sake of it. I mean, to be fair, even that's, there's a place for that as well. But it's not just about being silly for the sake of it. It's actually, there's a profound purpose in there, because I've realised that if we continue down this heavy, stressful, shoulding all over each other and ourselves kind of path, we're going to be disconnected from our hearts. We're not going to be tuned in to what, to our soul's plan for us. And we're going to miss out, more importantly, on enjoying life, because it's such a heavy energy. So yeah, this should around, oh, you should. Anytime you hear that in your voice, in your head, then it's time to not pay attention. So that, this idea that I should be, somehow, I guess, positioning myself as an spiritual expert so that people will buy my coaching services. So it's all kind of connected in with the business thing in a way as well. And I realised, no, this isn't right. And I think that the final thing that I want to say, and I know this isn't my usual structured message, but I did want to share something, and also, I don't always just want to share formal teaching. I want to be honest about what this journey is like, and sometimes there are days like this when you're just processing kind of deep emotions, and so that you can let them go, so that you can be lighter. So yeah, basically, well, I've lost my train of thought. See, this really is not an organised talk at all. But basically, I just realised it comes down to people pleasing. And I just thought, going back to what I said earlier, for God's sake, I'm still people pleasing. Yeah, I thought I dealt with that already. And what is people pleasing? It's basically worrying about what other people think, It's worrying about being judged by others. So you have this kind of default setting where you try to keep everyone happy. And the truth is, you don't feel safe unless everybody's happy. Because you've either been taught, you've probably been taught at some point that your worth essentially is based on other people being happy with you. Now, this can obviously start with parenting, and I'm not saying this to blame parents, because every parent, however good or bad from our perspective, is doing the best that they can, with the level of awareness that they have. And sometimes, they've not been given much help themselves, they've not had a good upbringing themselves, or a constructive upbringing. So it can start then where we're taught to be a good boy or a good girl, and if we don't, and that generally means doing what they want us to do, right? So it's actually a control mechanism, but we're taught that our value is contingent on making them happy, and then it's easy for us to then translate that into the school scenario. So we have to please our teachers, and then in the work scenarios we have to please our bosses, and again we have to please our governments, or any sort of authority figure. If we've internalized that message, then basically any time we do something that someone is not happy with, that they judge to be not the right thing to do, and they're angry with us, or whatever, or upset with us, then our self-worth is called into question. And that feels really threatening to us. And so we bend over backwards basically to try to make everyone happy, try to keep the boss happy, try to keep your partner happy, try to keep the kids happy, and that's impossible. I've just lost the back of my... So I was trying to keep this phone. I'm trying to keep my shit together, but clearly it's all falling apart on me. So that's one aspect of people pleasing, But the other thing that it can do to us is that it puts us on a performance treadmill, so that basically we feel like we're performing all the time, because we're going to be... We fear we're going to be judged. So if someone's not happy with us, so it's like we're living life under test conditions all the time. I mean, that's why in some of my marketing I say, about moving from life as an endurance test, or I might even change it to performance test, because we really feel we put ourselves under pressure when we have that people pleasing aspect. Because I felt, I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to name my shit here, put it out on Tinternet, and decide not to care what people think. But basically, I felt a little bit like I'd failed. I'd failed the test because I hadn't marketed my coaching, even though it didn't feel right to me. So I knew I did the right thing, but part of me, the people-pleasing bit, just thought, oh, you failed. You didn't do that. You didn't take the business expert's advice. And then another part, again, the part, I'm happily facilitating this session and enjoying what people are sharing and bringing it all together. But there's that people-pleasing, care what other people think part that's, but really you should just have all the answers, shouldn't you? You should just tell people what the answers are. Just read the cards and tell everyone. And it's just like, no, that's not what I'm doing here. But so what I realised today is I've still got some of that shouldy energy. Yeah, shouldy energy going on. But I know that what's happened today it's brought it more clearly to me. And what happens, and this is part of of the journey. Actually, especially if you're going through a major life transition, it doesn't happen, you don't change overnight. It's this gradual thing, and you become aware of these patterns, but it can be quite a long time before you completely clear them. And if you're experiencing that, then I would just like to say to you, just be patient with yourself and celebrate how far you've come, because even just being aware of what your patterns are is actually a laudable thing. So many people are living in, completely unconscious of the patterns, of the behavioural patterns, the belief patterns that they're stuck in. So yeah, be kind to yourself and celebrate yourself, even if you've still got some of that shouldy energy going on. So yeah, again, this is a bit of an unstructured talk, but I want to keep it real, not for marketing purposes, but actually because I feel like, there's so much stuff going on, so much stuff being posted that's just, like reality TV. It's not, we all know it's not real. It's all posed and, faked and everything. And there's so much fakery going on just everywhere. And I don't want to focus on that, because again, that's not what the Profoundly Silly Wisdom ethos is about. But so I just feel, I feel a responsibility. I almost feel like, they get to see me on the day when I need an industrial sized crystal to just process the shitty emotions. Because this is part of the journey, so that you don't feel that, don't be surprised when you don't feel good. It happens, these energies, they're strong, they're deep rooted, and when we release them, we feel them and they move through, and then we feel lighter. And each time this process happens, you get lighter. So if you are experiencing that, I just want to celebrate the success that you've already had in shifting these patterns, and just know that you continue to tune into your heart and listen to your heart, not the shoulds. If it's here, should, ignore it. If it's here, listen to it. So keep on going, my friends. And to those of you who were in that session yesterday, thank you so much again. I wasn't lying when I said I enjoyed it. It's when I got out of the session that all the shouldy energy just descended upon me. So yeah, and thanks to my soul for, saying, okay, Esme, I think we're ready to face that emotion now, so that we can let it go. Because each time we go through this kind of process of revealing what's going on underneath the surface, it's an opportunity to let it go. So yeah, that's my message for today. Sorry there isn't an exercise. But again, I don't want to get into a formula with things. I just want to keep it real, so that you know that you can be real. On that note as well, yes, another exciting thing that happened this week is that I've set up a mailing list. And yeah, so this is an opportunity to gather together like-minded souls. So if you've been following this podcast channel, whatever it is, for a while now, please, and you want to be part of this, this community, this tribe, I'm calling it, join the Profoundly Silly Wisdom tribe. And what I'm going to do is send, at the moment, it's just going to be a fortnightly email. So I'll send a link to this video probably, so that you don't miss it. And obviously an update of anything else that's going on in my life on the Profoundly Silly Wisdom front. And also, any group coaching sessions, free group coaching sessions that I'll be running as well. So anything that's going on, because what I want to do is start creating opportunities for people, like happened yesterday, really, which is why it was so exciting to share, to share these experiences together of tuning into their soul and learning to live from the wisdom of our heart instead of from all of the shoulds that have been programmed into us. So yeah, if that sounds up your street, then please, I'll put the link to the Profoundly Silly Wisdom Tribe in the description box. I'll see if I can put it in the video. I never remember what I can do and what I can't do in YouTube, frankly. So yeah, join us and become part of this merry band of cheerful wisdom followers. And of course, if you know anyone who can be helped by these videos, then please share them. I say that because I want to gather as many of us together as possible, because I know a lot of people are feeling it right now, are feeling quite stressed, and there's a lot of tension around. So anything we can do to kind of support each other in this process. And yeah, I think, what was the other thing you're supposed to do? Subscribe to the video, yeah. Like it, subscribe. But yeah, more than anything, if you want to do something, then join the tribe, because I'm quite excited, and I realise now that yesterday was just the beginning, despite my shouldy energies. So take care, my friends, and I'll speak to you soon.